Welcome to Ohio Roots, the official podcast of the Ohio Genealogical Society. Join us as we embark on a captivating journey through Ohio's rich genealogy, history, and abundant resources. Hosted by me, OGS Executive Director Noel Poirier, this podcast brings you insightful conversations with a diverse array of guests, from OGS members, chapter leaders, and staff to renowned genealogists, historians, and influential figures within the genealogical community. Each episode delves into fascinating topics and captivating stories. So grab your headphones, hit that play button, and join us on this enthralling journey of Ohio's roots. My guest on this episode of the Ohio Roots podcast is Betsy Hedler. Betsy is the Executive Secretary of the Ohio Local History Alliance, and I invited her here today to talk to us about the Alliance, its history, and how it works to promote and support local history throughout Ohio. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with Betsy Hedler. Betsy, thank you so much for joining me today on the Ohio Roots podcast. I really appreciate you taking some time out of what I imagine must be a very busy day.
Yeah. Well, it's the time of the year where the Ohio Local History Alliance is planning for spring meetings. So there's a whole bunch of that this time of year.
Well, why don't you do me a favor first and tell me, for folks who don't know, what is the Ohio Local History Alliance?
Right. So the Ohio Local History Alliance is a statewide membership organization for local history organizations, such as the Ohio Genealogical Society. Although more typically, it's county historical societies, township historical societies. I'm not going to name specific counties, which is a thing I sometimes do. But like, for example, your county, your township, your city historical societies are members of the Alliance. The Alliance does an annual meeting, an annual conference in the fall, and regional meetings around the state. We have 10 regions in the spring, in March and April, as a service to those organizations, and there's also a newsletter.
Okay. So, I know you're not a genealogist, you're a historian, and I am also not a genealogist. I am a historian. But how did you get interested in history, and was there a family history connection to that interest?
Right. Honestly, I got interested in history originally for the stories. It was all about the stories for me. And like history had the true stories, which were cool. Right. And I was interested in like how people lived in the past. And I promised you, I have a really actually great family story that turned out into a little bit. So my last name is Hedler, which means that I have genealogy on easy mode.
Okay.
It's not a common last name. Okay. And my grandfather and my great-grandfather on my father's side were both named Rudolph, which makes things even easier. And the family story about great-grandfather Hedler, who is the person who emigrated from Germany. By 1914, he's an American citizen. They own a bakery. He's going home. July of 1914, he's home to see the family. You may be aware, August of 1914 is when World War I kicks off, right. Just in case for those of you who are not actually historians. But so July of 1914, like he's home seeing the family. He's an American citizen by this point. But his older brother, who's in the German army, comes home and says to him, Rudy, you should leave now. Don't go through Belgium. And that's the story. And it goes, he gets on a bicycle and he pedals to Holland, and he gets on a ship and he comes home. I don't believe this. Right. This seems specious. This seems very not right. And then there I am. I'm doing research for a teacher workshop I was doing. And I'm in the Ellis Island records, because you can do your own family search at Ellis Island. And for the heck of it, I put in Rudolph Hedler. And there he is, Rudolph Hedler from Brooklyn, arriving in the port of New York, at Ellis Island, at the port of New York. I believe it was September of 1914, coming from the port of Rotterdam, like on his way home from, right. So like the having the evidence for this family story was just like one of those moments where like I thought it was a complete pile of I'm not going to say it because then you'd have to edit it out. But I thought, like it sounded romantic. It sounded unlikely. And then I'm like, but here's the passenger list. Here he is coming. I still don't believe the don't go through Belgium part, but that seems like you get in trouble.
I think that's what's fun about it. When you take it, particularly when I talk to some genealogists who have a historical bent to it, one of the things they talk about all the time is that it's nice to flesh out the information between birth, marriage, and death, right? Yeah. You can easily do your whole tree with just birth, marriage, and death. But for me, I know what I always enjoy is doing the research on people's lives. I find that the most fascinating part anyway. And I like it because you kind of connect yourself to these major historical events, even if it's from a distance, but it's nice to be able to do that.
Exactly. That is my word. That is my connection to World War I.
Right. It's, right. It's nice to have those things. Yeah. Now, the Ohio Local History Alliance, how long has that been going, and how did it get started, and what was the impetus for that?
Right. So the alliance was officially formed in 1960. It grew out of the Ohio Local History Alliance and the Ohio History Connection have a very close relationship and have from the beginning of the Ohio Local History Alliance. I work at the Ohio History Connection, and as part of my job there, I serve the Ohio Local History Alliance as executive secretary. I'm sorry, it gets a little convoluted in there.
That's okay. I was going to ask you about your role later, but that's okay.
It gets a little convoluted. So and to the best of my understanding, and I was not there, in the late 50s, Ohio History Connection was providing a variety of services to the local history community, and would used to do an annual meeting, some sort of annual gathering for the local history community, and conversations at that annual gathering led to, really, we should have our own membership group, which was officially formed in 1960 at that same annual meeting. I believe it was originally formed as the Ohio Association of Historical Societies and Museums.
Okay.
OAHSM, or OWASM. We called it OWASM.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, it was an unwieldy name and an unwieldy acronym. As much as we enjoyed calling it OWASM. And in 2011, the folks who were then on the board of the Ohio Local History Alliance, or to become Ohio Local History Alliance, in the course of strategic planning, thought about this is an unwieldy name that no one understands what it means, sort of thing. And that was when the new name and the current logo came in was adopted in 2011. But it really So the fact that it grew out of a meeting that was originally managed by the then Ohio Historical Society means that the relationship between the Ohio Local History Alliance and the Ohio History Connection remains strong, and also honestly confusing for many people in the state, because the names are very similar and we do very similar things for the local history community. So it's, but the Ohio Local History Alliance is its own 501c3 organization with its own board, as you know, its own relationship with the IRS and the state of Ohio and that sort of thing. It is an all-volunteer organization with quite a large board. In fact, 2 regional reps for every region of Ohio. We split up we split up the state into 10 regions, which was probably also a later question.
That's okay. No,
but that's all right. I just roll through the things.
Please do.
It's 10 regions for how they were. And each region has 2 regional representatives and indeed its own regional meeting in the spring. But it grew out of, and I think it grew out of that need of the local history community to manage its own services on some level.
Sure. So, I think what I find, one of the things I really love about it is the idea that it's a very kind of grassroots organization. It's really a bottom-up kind of organization as opposed to a top-down, where all of the members are very active and engaged in the process of making things happen. And I find that to be kind of a fascinating thing, as opposed to an organization in many ways, kind of like OGS in some ways, where we have an overriding organization and then we have these things below, like chapters. But that gets me to kind of a point. We have over 80 chapters in Ohio and elsewhere. Right. I assume a chapter of OGS could become a member of OLHA, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So there's no requirement that you be a museum or a historic site?
No, there is not. In fact, there are. We've had churches who are members in the past who have a historic building that they're I don't know if we have anyone currently, but what it officially says something on the membership form is anyone who's interested in local history in Ohio is welcome to join. We've had there's women's clubs who join, who are members. There are, as I said, churches who are managing historic buildings. Yes, indeed, Ohio Genealogical Society chapters. I don't believe that any of the chapters are members, but I know that we've that. In many of the counties, the county historical society is an all a member and works really well with their local with their county genealogical society. There's no reason that genealogical chapters couldn't be. We have. I don't think there's at least one Convention and Visitors Bureau who isn't a member of the Ohio Local History Alliance. The Daughters of the American Revolution in I forget the county, I believe, were also members. And or possibly are now. I don't have all 350 odd members memorized, but
that was
often it's.
I mean, because I like to encourage, one of the things we try to do with our chapters is encourage them to be more. What's the word I'm looking for? I think a lot of times organizations can be very insular. In the sense of they don't think outside their own organization often, and sometimes it's very difficult, particularly in a small local community where there might also be personalities involved. But we like to encourage our chapters to be as engaged as possible in organizations that can both aid them, but then can also get our message out to others. And so, I would love to see more OGS chapters become members of OLHA, just because I think they would benefit from it and from the camaraderie, I think, that goes along with it. But if you had to pitch it, how would you pitch it?
Right. And so first of all, there's the benefits. Hang on. If I had to pitch it, how would I pitch it? I would pitch it. So one of the things, in fact, the camaraderie that you mentioned is, in fact, one of the things that our members talk about. People really enjoy, especially at the regional meetings, the chance to talk to other people who are facing the same challenges that they are, and to get ideas of how to meet those challenges and how that works. And really, we talked to our current president through the end of the calendar year. Leslie Wagner talks a lot about, she went to her first annual meeting and she was hooked because she got to meet so many, got to meet and interact with the people who were doing the same things that she was doing. There is, in addition to the in-person meetings for folks, there is a members Facebook group where folks can have those conversations and try to make those connections virtually. I don't know that the demographics of our membership are such that that's being taken up a lot, but it does exist and it's a possibility. But people, yes. So the regional meetings, and if you don't want to come to Columbus for 2 days in the fall, we will be near you on a Saturday in March or April, which for a one-day event that is also, so I think people enjoy the chance to meet and talk with other people who are doing the same thing, learn from those folks. We do a lot of, at both the annual and the regional meetings, a lot of the professional development is folks talking to each other. Someone in your region did something cool and they're going to talk about it. And I want to mention the newsletter, but I'm as much as I am the person who edits the newsletter, as I am the newsletter editor, I really hope that it is a valuable resource for folks and that they're reading it and they're finding it useful, because we try to provide the same sort of things in the newsletter, announcements of things that are coming up. Is there a new grant coming out, and then articles that are indeed we just opened a new exhibit and it's traveling, and here's how we did it. Sorts of things. So.
Hi, this is OGS Executive Director Noel Poirier, and I'm cordially inviting you to stay home, put on your comfiest pajamas, and do not attend our annual no-show ball. That's right, no fancy clothes, no parking hassles, no small talk, just the satisfaction of supporting a great cause from the comfort of your couch. And what's on the agenda for this year's no-show ball? Absolutely nothing. No dinner to dress up for, no speeches to sit through, no dance moves required. But don't worry, while you enjoy your evening off, your generosity will be hard at work supporting the Ohio Genealogical Society. And this is how you do it. You stay home, you literally do anything else, and then you donate. And you can donate today at www.ogs.org/donate and use the 2024 No-Show Ball cause as your selection. No babysitter, no problem, no shoes, no problem. Thank you for not attending the No-Show Ball, but thank you for supporting the Ohio Genealogical Society. Well, I know even from my OGS standpoint, when I attended the meeting last year in Columbus, I went to a bunch of different sessions, and I actually managed to get some of those session presenters to present for OGS webinars. And, because what I witnessed there and the information that I saw was really, I thought would be really valuable for our members. And so for me, it's kind of a nice way to do that. I'm a peer reviewer for the American Alliance of Museums. And so I volunteer my time to go out and help museums on a regular basis. And one of the things I love about our regional meeting we're planning for Region 2 is the idea that we're trying to give organizations that may not have access to the skill sets that professional organizations like OGS has or other museums have. So, OGS archivist Jenna Kish is going to present on some basic archival practices for folks who may not ever been exposed to that kind of training and information. And so for me, I think that you talk about the regional meetings as being a huge benefit. And I think that's I think what excites me about it the most is the idea that you get to get folks into a room. I know I only give people their 2 minutes to tell me their stories. Inside joke, folks. But
sharing
it's nice
time.
To have,
we call it sharing time.
Yeah, sharing time. It's nice to have that opportunity, though, for people to talk about what they're going through and the challenges they meet. So I think it's worthwhile for people to really think about that. If a chapter wanted to join OLHA, is there any kind of, is it hard?
It is not. Well, I don't think it's hard, but it's pretty easy. You can on the website. There's once you get on the it's ohiolha.org. Once you're on the website, there's I think on the side menu it says join here or join now or one of those things that most websites do. And on that page, it goes through the various membership levels because there's kind of a sliding scale for membership costs depending on your organization's size and annual membership depending on your organization's annual budget. So the smaller the organization, the lower the membership rate, right? And you can either send us a check. The mail-in form can be a little challenging for folks to find, but there is a mail-in form that you can mail in with a check. And then there's also you can join online through our partnership with Ohio History Connection. The Alliance Alliance memberships can be purchased on the Ohio History Store. Members, so you can with a credit card. Now. Fair warning, since it's just me who does this, the membership cards only get mailed once a month because it's just me who does it. But you will eventually get a shiny, a nifty membership card that I almost pulled out to show people, and then I remembered that in fact there's no visual.
There will be no video.
There will be no video. But you do in fact. And one of the things about Alliance membership as well is that the membership benefits are intended for your entire organization.
Okay.
So if the Champaign County chapter of the Ohio Genealogical Society wanted to join, all of their board members could attend a regional meeting at the membership rate. If all of the staff of the Ohio Genealogical Society wanted to come to the annual meeting, they would all register at the membership rate. So,
talk to me a little bit about what somebody should expect when they attend a regional meeting from the minute they get there to kind of the end of the day.
Right. So, and I've lost so there's 5 things that happen at regional meetings. And I don't have the piece of paper pulled up.
That's all right.
I have them, but I should know them off the top of my head. I've done that often enough. So, and one of them is meals. So
Very important.
Meals. learning sessions, content sessions. The annual, the regional business meeting for the year happens. There's generally an update from the Ohio History Connection and what we do for local history organizations, and then generally a tour of that of the area or of the host site's attraction. We say so if you're at your museum. So the way the day works is like there's that first half hour where registration is open and you can get coffee and whatever the best local pastry is typically. Because we ask, so the regional meetings are hosted by local organizations.
Right.
For instance, the Region 2 meeting is going to be hosted by the Morrow County Historical Society. They know where the best donuts are in Mount Gilead, right? I don't know that.
Right.
They know where the best lunch is. Right. So they have those contacts. So the host sites handle the logistics of the meeting, the space, and the food. Typically. So you arrive, you have a little chit chat, there's a welcome, we do a content session, we'll do sharing time, which we referred to earlier, where every organization present gets 2 minutes to talk about their year, their successes, any struggles they're having. Depending on the severity of the regional rep who's running the sharing time, sometimes it runs over and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. Sharing time, there'll be another 1 or 2 content sessions, the business meeting, as I mentioned, and then an update from local history services at the Ohio History Connection, and then a tour. We have had sometimes people who host who don't have a physical location or have a fairly small one. We've had sometimes folks will do like walking tours of the area, but mostly it is of the host's museum. You get a chance to kind of see cool, in addition to learning about how to do stuff. You get a chance to like see cool places in Ohio. It's one of my favorite parts of my job is the fall when I get to drive around to all the places where we're planning them and see all the places.
So the 2025 regional meetings, when will folks be able to learn when and where they are and what the programs will be, available for those meetings?
Right. So to the best of my knowledge, the dates and the places are already on the website.
Okay.
And the detailed information about the content of the meetings and the ability to register will open in January.
Okay. So that's when folks will be able to kind of figure out if there's anything of interest to them.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Yeah, but you can go right now you can go and see where they are and when they are. So is who the host is and what date we're planning for that region.
And the annual meeting's held in the fall in Columbus, correct? And that's
correct.
True every year?
Well, not in 2025, but every other year.
Okay.
Most years, the vast majority of years, we do hold the annual meeting, typically the first full weekend of October, in the Columbus area somewhere. We're not one of those Ohio Museums Association moves their conference around the state. We have not done that. Right. We don't promise we never will, but we mostly do Central Ohio. For many years, it was actually held at the Ohio History Center, where building I'm sitting in right now, but. Then we outgrew it. The Alliance annual meeting typically attracts over the last 10 years anywhere between 150 and 250 people.
Wow.
And with the number of breakouts, the Ohio History Center is just not big enough. So we've been going other places in the Columbus area. The 2025 meeting is a little different because we learned the American Association for State and Local History, essentially the national level OLHA, is going to be having their annual meeting in their nationwide annual meeting in Cincinnati in mid-September in 2025. And we are super excited because we are the partner organization for that. Right. So we are, instead of an independent annual meeting in early October in Columbus, we're going to join AASLH in Cincinnati in September. It's going to be great. We're looking forward to it. If you have ideas, by December 13th, we need to have ideas for our, OLA has a session track of 8 sessions and a workshop that we'll be providing specifically. OLA members will be able to register at the member rate.
Okay.
For that conference. It's going to be a little more expensive than the typical Alliance conference, because we know that we try to keep the Alliance registration rates as low as possible, because we know that many of our member organizations are all volunteer or very low budget, and we want to make sure that the meetings are accessible. So it's a different world when it's a nationwide conference. So that's a different thing. But yeah, so we've got our own session, and members who come to the ASLH conference can go to any of the sessions. Okay. But yeah, it's going to be exciting in 2025.
That sounds great.
We're looking forward to it.
If folks, you mentioned the website earlier, and I want to give you a chance to give it again, and I'll of course link to it when we post the podcast. But if you want to go ahead and give the website where listeners can go to learn more about OLHA, so that they can see if it's something for them.
And indeed, the website is OhioLHA.org. So OhioLHA.org. I think the version, the version that was just the acronym was taken by the time we came to get it.
That's always the case.
I know. So it's OhioLHA.org. And there's also, you can email us, which you didn't ask, but at OhioLHA.org OhioLHA@ohiohistory.org is the email address, but the website is OhioLHA.org.
And don't remember about remembering any of that. Don't worry about remembering any of it, because I will be putting it on the podcast when we post the podcast. Betsy, thank you so much for joining me today for the Ohio Roots podcast and talking about OLHA. I would go out there and tell all our OGS chapters to encourage them to take a look at it, see if it's something for them. I think they would definitely benefit from attending the regional meetings at the very least. So thanks again, Betsy. I appreciate your time today. Well, a big thank you to Betsy Hedler of the Ohio Local History Alliance for joining us today. It was great to hear about all the ways that the Alliance supports local history organizations in their efforts to be caretakers of their own community history. You may not know this, but the Ohio Genealogical Society is a member of the Alliance, and I serve as one of the Alliance's regional representatives. If you would like to learn more about the Alliance or to join the Alliance, you can visit their website at www.ohiolha.org. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Ohio Roots Podcast.
The Ohio Roots Podcast is brought to you by the Ohio Genealogical Society, the premier gateway for discovering your Ohio family history. Hosted by OGS Executive Director Noel Poyer and edited by Luke Poyer. Theme song is Beautiful Ohio, recorded by Bob Stanley and his orchestra in 1944. To learn more about joining the Ohio Genealogical Society, visit www.ogs.org.